everyone. Quick PowerPoint over 3 cases that I want you to know about as they relate to federalism. First case is McCullough versus Maryland, then Gibbons versus Ogden, then U.S. v. Lopez. So let's start with McCullough versus Maryland. In this case, the federal government built a national bank in Maryland, saying that it was necessary and proper to build this bank due to the powers that the federal government has to collect taxes and to coin money. The state of Maryland said, no, you can't do that, and if you do build this bank, we are going to tax it. So there were 2 issues here. 1, could the bank be built? And 2, could Maryland tax it? And the answer to both was yes, the bank could be built, and no, Maryland could not tax it. Yes, the bank could be built because it did work with implied powers. It was an implied power, and the Supreme Court agreed. And no, it couldn't be taxed because the national government is the supreme law of the land, and the states cannot tax the federal government. That is damaging to the federal government. It's taking money the taxpayers have paid away from the taxpayers. So the Supremacy Clause was established with this case and implied powers. The next court case is Gibbons versus Ogden. This was a Commerce Clause case where there was a disagreement on who regulated the waters or the waterways in the United States. The decision was made that only the U.S. federal government regulates the waters and can issue permits, not the states. And this was a Commerce Clause case in that any kind of business is the jurisdiction of the federal government, any kind of business dealings in the United States. So this business dealings on the waterways certainly fit in that category. It broadened the meaning of the Interstate Commerce Clause and the concept of regulating commerce. It also said that the federal government is supreme to state governments. Last case is U.S. v. Lopez. This is a 12th grade student who brought a gun to school in San Antonio. At issue was the fact that the federal government stepped in and said, you have violated federal law because we have passed the Gun-Free School Zones Act, and it says you can't bring guns to school. Therefore, you've broken federal law. The attorneys for Lopez said, no, you're using this, you created this law, and you're putting it to effect in the states based on interstate commerce, and we don't see how interstate commerce ties in with a Gun-Free School Zones Act. This is the state's business, not the federal government's. The U.S. Supreme Court agreed and said that the federal government had overreached its bounds and that this was a state issue, so the federal government needed to back off. That's it. Study hard for the test, and I'll see you next week.